Okay, let's see. All right, we got our audio going, we got our video going. All right, thank you. Welcome to Rummy Tiles development log number 2. And I'm Brandon Steinke, the developer here. This is a side project I've been working on by myself, trying to learn more about JavaScript and just coding in general. Okay, so in the last log, we sort of went over, I just sort of did a generalization about how the game worked, and today I want to cover a few things. Today, we're going to be looking at, I have a new UI going on, and also we have a new winner celebration card. So when you win the game, it's very evident that you won the game. Something that's essential in any kind of a game. There's now the AI is more skilled. It has more moves that it can do. Also, there are now 2 AI players where before there was just 1. Okay, so that just makes for a better game in general. So let's get started. Let's look at this. So in the old, looking at the UI in the old system, basically you would make a group and then you would see this tile slot over here highlighted, and there wouldn't be one over here. So if you wanted to drag a new tile in here, it always had to be over here on the right. And if you wanted to move things around, you always had sort of one, as long as you didn't pull the tile out of the group, you always had sort of an extra slot to sort of arrange things. So you could kind of move stuff around, get it in order, and so forth. And it worked for the most part. And what's nice about this that I still like is you still have this slot here where it's really clear that you can kind of move stuff around. So in the new system, if I get over there, in the new system, same thing, pull a group out, pull tiles out, make a new group. Now we have these kind of hidden invisible tile slots on either side of the group, and when you hover over them, the little plus sign is supposed to indicate, that you can add a tile now to this group. If you hover over and release, now it's in that group. Also, if you want to arrange things once they're in the group, you kind of there is still a slot here, but as soon as I add a slot, as soon as I add it to the new slot on the end, it immediately will look at that group and delete any slots that are in the middle, like this. So it creates sort of a nice smooth transition animation there. It's kind of slick, I like that. Also, I can pull it to this side and it'll sort of squeeze them together and clean it all up. And so that slot is still there, and the problem I ran into quickly is if I didn't delete this slot and I put this here, it would just keep looking at the group and it wouldn't delete the middle slot, and it would keep adding slots on the end if no slots existed. So I would go like this, and then this would add a new one here, and it would keep that existing slot, and then if I pulled this into here, it would add a new slot onto the end and keep the original 2 in the middle, and it quickly got messy. So at the moment, this is a little bit cleaner for me. It's so much easier, and I can pull tiles on the left side or the right side. It's just better for the user overall. I think there's going to be another evolution of this, but right now this is kind of the state it's in. I like it. And play around with it, see how it goes. Also, I kind of used to be able to see the rectangle around this container here, and now I've hidden that. There's no real reason to see that. So let's refresh this. Okay. let's try to do a winner card and show you that someone has won. We're going to go ahead and say player 2 won. So here I'll come into the console, I'll manipulate AI player 2 list is going to be empty. Excuse me, set that. I don't think I have a play here, it doesn't really matter, so I'm going to say I'm done. And immediately it's going to say, well, player 2 has played all its tiles, and here you go, player 2 wins. And it makes this kind of nice little animation in the back. And I think my computer's struggling a little bit because I'm streaming. So essentially, I just went on the internet and sort of looked for examples using Canvas and setting up particles, and I found sort of this example. Kind of copied the code. I had to make some tweaks because they were kind of looking for the screen size to change before it would actually play these particles. So I took all that out, and this is just, I'm going to look at this. I think there's some really cool things you can do with Canvas, and maybe I should have made this whole game in Canvas. It has so many features that are really kind of designed more for game development. But I'm going to go ahead and just leave this for now, and it's just a placeholder, and then we'll go ahead and see what we can do in the future. Also, I designed this quick little card here. It says who the player is that won, and just it sort of zooms into existence. It sort of magnifies, and it has a nice little animation. And the next kind of steps here would be able to say like a little button here that says you want to keep playing. You know, do you want to change the options for the next game? Do you want to quit? So forth. So, all right. So let's refresh. Let's try to show you what the AI can do now with its advanced moves. So I can play this 10, 10, 10. Complete my turn. It's going to play 2, 2, 2. That's a pretty standard move. It's just looking at its tile rack and playing groups that it already has. Player AI2 player played. Wow, they got a lot of tiles to play. These are all standard moves. There's nothing advanced here. What's unfortunate about this is it's all matchy-matchy. And right now I can't steal from, to make hybrid groups, it cannot take from of-kind groups where you have 3 or 4 of a kind. It actually has to be 4 of a kind so it can take the 4th tile to make a group. So let's just start over. I don't see a move. I'm going to complete my turn. Okay, it's going to go ahead and play 10, 10, 10. My turn again. Okay, that was all pretty standard. Just looked at its own tiles. Said, can I make a group from what the tiles I have right now? I see I can play this 7 here. Just add it to the front. So nice now that we have this new UI. I thought I saw 666, 333. I don't have an 11. I don't have another 10. So let's go ahead and just finish my move. Oh, here we go. Here's an advanced move. So taking that 6 and 7 to play an 8 from its group. And I don't know, it happened so quickly, but it looked like it played that. It looked like it almost played that 7. I'll have to look at the video again, but I think it almost played that 7. I can kind of look at the stream because there's a delay. Hold on, I'm sort of watching. Yeah, so basically it took one or two tiles from one group in order to make its own group. And I'll have to look at the video again to really see what happened. I wasn't really focusing on it. Okay, so that's one example of kind of, so in the last video I had kind of gone through the code and I showed you that I sort of had tested out that, you know, it can look at this object of the tiles on the board and sort of look at its own tiles and look for the matches that it needs to find on the board in order to make new groups, which I call hybrid groups. And I hadn't implemented the graphical element of that, so where it actually did that stuff on the page. And what it boiled down to is I had to create all these promises with JavaScript's new ES6 or whatever. They have this promise feature where if you need, when JavaScript's compiling the code and it sees that you're awaiting a new promise, it will basically go on and do other things, but as soon as that promise is resolved, like maybe it's made an API call, maybe it's doing animation across a screen that takes a couple seconds so the player can see it. Once that is complete, it will return the promise is resolved, and the compiling code will then return to that previous line and do anything you have underneath it. So if you say like await finish complete, if finish complete is true, then do all this other stuff. So as soon as the resolve is completed, the variable you set to that await promise is now true, and then it will queue all the code underneath it. So it's something that I've had to implement a lot in this project because of like the delays that I set, because there's animation going across the screen so that the user can see what's happening. And it all just doesn't happen instantaneously. If this had been done in Canvas or WebGL or whatever, there are inherent features in that because it's more set up for game development where you can synchronize things better and you can set up timers and you can kind of pause the action if needed. So setting up all these promises sort of allowed me to kind of continue on with this project so that it was evident to the user what was happening. I'm going to go ahead and purposely not play just to show you one other thing in the next couple moves. All right, so second player is now playing the 4 and 5. That's pretty standard, and it played that 9. Player 3 is coming in with this 2 and 3. It's my turn again. I'm going to go ahead and not play just to show you that now the tile rack for the human player will dynamically grow if needed. You need more slots. Before, the tiles are just appending to the page below this. It was real messy. It was a problem. I just didn't want to deal with it. Now I did. It's not perfect, but it sort of works. 3, 3, 3, 5, 5, 3. 4, 5, 6. I can play 4, 5, 6. Didn't see that before. Go ahead and play that. And my tile rack should shrink now, hopefully, or the next turn. Okay, player 2 added this 3. That's pretty standard. My turn again. I don't see a move. Hit complete, and now my tile rack shrunk because I don't need those slots. Once we get a few more groups here that are a little bit bigger, that are consecutive numbers, maybe we'll see a little bit more action, a little more advanced action from the AI player. I could, essentially I've taught or instructed the AI that it can go ahead and do this. It does it sort of in reverse, or it will grab these 3. It'll say, I have a 4, where else on the board are there tiles that I can combine with this 4? Well, I see this 3 and this 2, and that would be a valid group because it's 3 tiles, but this would invalidate this group up here, so I also have to take this 1. And 1 and done. There you go. The AI can do that now. And it can steal off, it's rare, but it will also steal off the right edge of a group. I don't see another play, so I'm going to go ahead and finish my move. So I don't know if I talked about this or not, but when you have two players, so when you play this game with your friends and family on a table as a board game, you're typically going to play with 4 players, because if you just play with 2 players, you both are struggling to put tiles down, make groups. The options just aren't there. But the more players you have, the more tiles are being put on the board, the more opportunity you have to mix and match and play the tiles on your board. So I was getting to the point where I just kept playing against one other AI player, and the games were lasting like 45 minutes. I also don't have jokers. And so now that I have 2 players, and now that the AI is more advanced, the games are going much faster, and they're just a lot funner. Also, the next evolution of this game is to start setting it up with a database and setting it up online so you can play against your friends and family. And maybe you only have one other friend that you can play with, and maybe that's just not enough players. Well, now maybe we can also incorporate 2 AI players as well, just to kind of keep the game going, and it was more challenging. All right, I don't see another move. I'm going to go ahead and finish. Okay, player 2 added this 1 here. Also want to set up a feature where it will just auto sort my rack. In real life, it's a lot easier to move these around, but it's a little bit trickier on the computer. Maybe on a tablet, and you're using your finger, it's going to be more intuitive. I'm not sure. I haven't tested that yet. Okay, 3, 4. I need a 4. I need a 7. I need a whole bunch of stuff I don't have. I'm going to keep going. I have no move. Neither do they. Okay, adds that 5. We need some diamonds. I'm starting to get a lot of diamonds going on. Oh, let's put this 6. I can now I have more room. I can kind of arrange this rack a little better. Still kind of a chore to do so. So, as you're developing and you're kind of seeing how your ideas play out, you kind of start seeing ways to sort of evolve those ideas to make them crisper, a little more user-friendly. I think an auto-sort wouldn't be a cheat here. That's originally I thought if you auto-sorted the rack, it would just be a cheat. People would really quickly be able to see how groups would, the groups that they had in their rack already. And sometimes that's stuff people miss in real life because they don't sort their rack. I need that too. Alright, well, none of us have really played in a few turns. That's kind of a disappointment. Alright, let's... Okay, added to that. Alright. At this point, I can go ahead and I can do 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's see what they do. Still don't have the diamonds I need. I can't put that 3 in that 2. I need a 5. Can I make a group of 5s? So it will. Let's see if I make a group of 5s. Maybe one of them has the diamond 5, and it will go ahead and put it here. I've noticed that. now I've created an opportunity. If I make matchy 3-of-a-kind groups, let's see if someone has that diamond 5. And they do! So that's sort of interesting. So I now created, I had that green 5 square and I put it down and I just took other 5s, and that created an opportunity for another player to drop one of their tiles, which creates an opportunity for me to put down my own tiles. So now I can take my 3, 4, take that 5 I put out there originally. It was almost like I almost did this for bait, to bait the other player. And 6. So it's kind of a symbiotic game. We're all trying to help each other, but then we're trying to, I don't know, deceive or finish before the other players. So, okay, finish my move. I play diamond 3 and 4. Now it's leveraging, playing that 7, playing a 2. Oh, putting the 6 back there. It saw that slot. Okay, things are starting to heat up. It's getting exciting. Get excited, people. All right, here's the 1. All right. I'm just gonna, I know I can play this 3 here. I'm just gonna see. I'm gonna leave these groups big just intentionally to see if the AI players will do anything. Okay, here we go. Here's an advanced move. It's taking that 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and didn't quite. I'm not sure what happened here. Okay. I think because I was hovering over it, it didn't exactly make that group completely. But that was, so now you just saw it made another hybrid group. I can now add my 3 here to sort of put these in order. So you can see it's getting kind of messy now. I want to make, I'll show you how my rack should shrink now. It will see that I don't have tiles here. I don't need all this room. And also you can see sort of the board is getting full of all these groups. And what I see in other apps is they just go ahead, and what I do is I shrink the browser as I'm playing so I can kind of see what's going on. And that doesn't create a problem, but I don't know how to do it where you can dynamically shrink the browser. I don't know if you have access to doing that in the dev tools. But in JavaScript, what you can do is you can dynamically shrink like the body of the HTML page. And I've experimented with that, but what that does is it creates this this variance between the mouse and the drag element, where the mouse will click across this way and sort of the drag element will sort of move the other way, and all the calculations go out the window. And I've looked on Stack Overflow, and there's sort of, one guy has an example, I haven't tried it yet. You sort of like recalculate the screen size against the rectangle of the object you're grabbing. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and set a dynamic variable and just go ahead and, there's not that many objects on the board. The processor is really fast. I can just iterate through all these groups, and I can quickly just shrink each one of these tiles is a div, and I can just go ahead and just shrink that. Or I can shrink their parent, which is a div that holds all these tiles. And I mean, it would happen in a blink of an eye. And it would just make it so everything's just like the user doesn't have to do anything. Everything can appear on the same page, and I might even create a button where they can shrink, they can scale up and down, so it's more customized to their play style. And it would help on mobile devices, because getting kind of like, on a mobile device, you can't zoom in, you can only zoom out. So like you can't make things bigger, or no, you can't make things smaller, but you can make things bigger. So if we start like this and groups start going off the board, they can't shrink. It's weird. You can only kind of zoom in or return to the original page size. So by setting up this dynamic scaling with a custom feature, it would help better for mobile testing and mobile players. And honestly, I think you can only play this game on a iPad or any kind of a tablet device. Well, I think I'm about to wrap up here. I'm just going to see if we get any more play out of the AI players. They haven't really done a whole lot. Okay, pending that, pre-pending that too. That's a standard move. Pend that 11. So also one of these things where it starts to get messy like this, maybe in addition to auto scaling the page, is to auto kind of arrange these groups, you know, and not to move them too much, but just to sort of look at, you know, what the coordinates are of, say, this group here. What's, you know, stack all these objects, all these groups in an array, iterate through, sort of look at where they are, what their position is on the page, look at their nearest neighbor, and then just sort of put the objects sort of neatly in between. And like it would say, like, oh, I know I have my neighbor here on the left. I'm going to go ahead and just put this one right here. I'm going to line it up so they're on the same vertical coordinate. And then we get to this group and to say, oh, in the array, this is my nearest neighbor. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put you right here, and I know I'm going to have to sort that array by kind of their coordinate size, because it's going to go through and just pull groups off the board in the way that they were appended to the page. So then I'm going to have to sort that array, and then just sort of look at their position, sort of look at their neighbor, and sort of fit them neatly on the page, maybe 4 groups max or what have you. So that's kind of going to be kind of the next feature coming along. Yeah, I can play this 4. I can play this 12. I can play 13. I can't play that 2. 4, 2, 12. Already played 6. There's hardly any green squares. Complete my turn. AI doesn't have anything. Gonna keep going. Quickly, almost at a half an hour in this video already. It's crazy how quickly the time flies. I'm gonna wrap it up here really quick. I'm just gonna see if we get anything else going on. Okay, here's another dynamic group where we put down the 8 and it stole the 9 and the 10 first. It said that I have this 8. Where on the board can I find 2 adjacent tiles, either, you know, a 6 and a 7 or a 9 and a 10. So that 9 and the 10 were over here. The targets were 6 and 7 or 9 and 10. And it basically said, okay, I found the 6 and 7, I found the 9 and the 10. I'm going to have to take, if I take this 6 and 7, I'm going to have to take the 4 and the 5 as well. And it basically compared the two. It does some quick math. It's not, you know, intensive for the CPU. It just looks at, say, well, will I have to take 4 tiles or will I have to take 2 tiles? And I told it to take the lesser of the 2. So it said, well, if I take this 9 and the 10, that's less tiles I have to steal than this group here, which would have been, I guess, 4 tiles. And the thinking behind that is that the bigger the group is, the more you can pillage from it, the more you can steal from it, you know? So that's sort of where I want to show you guys where we were today with, where I am today with kind of all the features. And, you know, just want to thank you for watching. And, oops. I'll just end on the, also made this new kind of thumbnail for the project. And that is that. All right, have a good day.